assuming we don't have everybody on the call has 2 questions. But just a quick reminder, Sam will not have any updated information on anything COVID related. When we have those updates, those will still come from Hunter. And believe it or not, we do not have the schedule. We do not have our next 2 opponents. So I'll go ahead and get that one out of the way. No need to waste that one with Sam. We don't have it, and we're waiting just like you guys are. So if you guys are ready, we will. I'll get Sam in here and we'll get going. All right, let's get going. Tom, you want to lead us off?
That'd be fine. My mic open?
Yeah, hold on just a second. Let me mute everybody and I'll bring you back up.
Okay. All right. Hey, Sam, thanks for doing this again. It's good to see you. So they've announced a change in the practice plan, and I'm wondering about how it's going to be different for you guys with a 20-hour rule when you first start, which is a lot different for both players and coaches. Can you talk about coping with the practice plan that you've got?
Yeah, I mean, looking forward on this, you basically have 40 days to get 25 practices in. You're not going to have near the time, obviously, for the walks, for the off day meetings. We're going to have 2 days off instead of 1 now. On one of the off days, we can still have a 2-hour meeting with them. But instead of just looking forward only, you have to look back. And what the SEC has allowed us to do here recently is gain hours, times, walkthroughs that we basically are going to lose in the future. So I'll guess whenever it all evens out that the time will be approximately the same. It's just going to be spread over a larger number of days. So I mean, it is what it is. They give us all the same rules, but we do have a schedule ready. I think we found out maybe yesterday, day before, what the SEC decided to do, and we're ready to go on our schedule, and on paper we like it.
Okay, and then you're going to play your first season in the league, and as a head coach, you're going to play a 10-game all-conference schedule. Just what were your thoughts when you found out that was going to be the course, and did you have any input or say in the 2 opponents you guys pick up?
Well, I've said ever since I got the job, we're in the SEC West, exactly where the University of Arkansas belongs. And so...
Audio's gone.
What's up, Nate? But anyway, no, I don't have any input at all of who we play. And the 10-game SEC schedule, it is what it is. I mean, we're going to have to go play. That's what our conference is. So we'll go out there and play them. We're looking forward to it, actually. And the 2 opponents we won't find out for another day or 2.
Okay. Appreciate it, man.
Sarah?
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering, how's the team been handling all of the news that's going on right now, the season being pushed back and the all SEC schedule?
I'll be honest with you. I think the kids, they just want to play, and we just want to coach. And obviously, we want to do it in the safest environment we possibly can, but they want to play. And when we told them that as of this point that there's going to be a season, they were ecstatic. I mean, it's like anything. If you work towards something. You want to reap the benefits of 10 Saturdays or 12 or 13 or depending on how far you go, 15, 16 games, 15 games, whatever it is. You want to be able to go play. And so they were really excited about that, and I was excited for them, and our coaching staff are very excited.
And has there been any position changes on the team so far?
We've probably changed a lineman maybe from a tackle to a guard or a guard to a tackle, not specifically across the ball. Besides, we had, I guess you could call it a change. He never practiced at tight end, but Blaine Toll moved the tight end on paper. We never had a practice or anything. And before we started practicing, or not practicing, but walking through and all this, we moved him back to defensive end. We thought that he could help us over there after being able to watch him run a little bit and seeing what his size was. And we thought he might rush the passer over there a little bit for us. So we moved him back over to where we originally recruited him at.
All right, Coach, thank you so much.
Nikki?
Coach, how are you feeling about the offensive uptick that you guys have been able to do with the walkthroughs and just how everyone has, picked up Kendall Griles' offense?
I tell you what, Nikki, this time has been invaluable. I mean, I don't know what day this is today in it, maybe 4, 9, maybe 11. I don't know the number for sure, but I'll say this, these things have been outstanding, and the coaching going on, the kids, the learning, the ability of 20 hours a week, obviously until tomorrow, but 20 hours a week of teaching. It's been awesome. It hasn't been spring ball because obviously you can't hit and things of that nature, but the mental part of it has been probably better than even what spring ball would have been about learning the offense for Kendall. And I'm having to learn it too, and so I'm pretty much caught up to speed. So I imagine the players will be too.
We've heard some reports that Ricky Stromberg is getting a lot of work at center. What's the logic behind that move? And then Ty Clary, where do you see him fitting in for next season?
Well, Ty's playing center for us, and we haven't put the pads on, so we're trying to find our 5 best players on the offensive line, and then number 6 and number 7 and all that. But you can't have your 3rd or 2nd best player playing behind your best player just because he plays left tackle. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So we're trying to find our 5 best, and the hardest place to play on the O-line is center. And so we're trying to develop at least 3 centers. If we could get more in the top 10, we would do that too. But we're trying to at least be able to travel and have 3 deep at center. And therefore, we started looking at Ricky at center, and he's played a lot of it in these walkthroughs for us. And Ty obviously has played center as well. And so I'm sure if that was the case, that they both would stay at center, they'd have a competitive battle there. And then you'd have to look to see if the one who didn't win the center spot, is he in our top 5 to play for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Trey.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, Trey.
So I was curious a little bit about that schedule. I don't expect you to lay it all out for us right now, but are you thinking Tuesdays, Wednesdays? You mentioned you'd have 2 off days. How do you kind of plan to structure that?
3. There's 6 weeks, I guess. So I'm looking at 3, 3, 5, 4, 5, 5, and different weeks. We're trying to keep Sunday as the day off, Saturday for the most part. Early Saturday as your 2-day meeting. As we start scrimmaging and doing things on Saturday, then Thursday would be our day off there along with Sunday. Sunday will always be our day off during camp.
And recently the roster was released, and there was a lot of fluctuation in the weights from just in the spring. I was wondering if you could comment on on some of those guys, you pleased with what you've seen with the weight? I know, like Jalen St. John was up at 359. I don't know if that's a weight that you want him at, but can you just comment on that?
Well, we want to put weight on our offensive linemen again. I'm not saying a 275-pound man can't block a 315 or 30-pound man. I'm not saying that, but I would like to have a little bit more anchor. Obviously, everybody, I would assume, knows that I like big offensive linemen. But Jalen, we're working with him. He's with our nutritionist, all that. He's big, and we're working with him. Maybe take a little bit of weight off so he could get his foot speed better. But the other guys, like Myron, I don't know how many pounds he's gained, but I'm looking at 285 to 315, 320, maybe even bigger, but depends on how much running we do, after walkthroughs. But all of them, Ricky, if you look at Ricky, and I heard he was 260 and he's right at 300. He might be a little bigger than 300. So, but the key is not only are they getting bigger, but can they move, and not lose that quickness and gain more power. I've been really, really pleased. Of course, Jamil Walker, I think we have as good a strength coach as anybody in the country, but our kids have done a good job, and they've all gained weight. I thought we needed a bigger football team. I think if you look at our team, we do have speed, but I thought we needed to get bigger to compete in this league, and we're certainly headed that direction.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Demetrius?
What's up, man? Yeah, that's a great question. Let's start with defense first. McClellan, Bush, Mo Brown, those guys in the secondary have really they're as hard a working group as we have. So I'm really impressed with them. Newcomer wise, Jerry Jacobs has been a nice leader. If you go at linebacker, Poole's done well. How do you know they're not hitting? But I'm talking about learning and being on time and talking to the team. I'm assuming that's what you're asking. Draper's been good. Xavier Kelly's been outstanding. John Marshall on the defensive line front. On offense, Franks has done a good job, and of course Rakeem. And then the line, it's kind of hard to segment out a guy in there because they work well together. Myron would be the guy there possibly that would have at this point the most leadership skills, along with Dalton Wagner. You're welcome.
Bob?
Hey Sam, how you doing? Good to see you.
Hey Bob.
We were talking to Hunter Yurchek the other day, and he was really praised you for how you're leading the program through all this unprecedented stuff we're dealing with. And it's your first time as an SEC head coach. What is it you've drawn upon, in your background that's enabled you to kind of navigate through all this as well as you've done so far?
Oh, I guess my parents, to be honest with you, it's, I always said don't make a mountain out of a molehill. The bottom line is you have problems with problems when you don't address the first one, and then it becomes a second one, then it becomes a third one, and you get behind in what you probably should have addressed in the first place. You might not have had the second problem. So we're handling as best we know how everything that's coming across, and y'all know it happens daily. There's so much stuff that happens every day, especially with all the different scenarios that's going on in the world. And so communication, we have no problem talking to our players just exactly like you and I are talking right now. And so we're pretty much an open book here, and we talk to our kids and explain why we're doing things and why we have to adjust. And they, to be honest with you, they're the ones that need to be patted on the back, because everything that we've done, they just said, okay, coach, we trust you. This is what we should do. And I think that says a lot about our coaching staff, certainly more than about me.
I guess maybe a follow-up to that. Seems like every day you hear about Louisville shutting down practice because, kids went to a party, or, Rutgers is doing it, or whoever it might be. A lot of schools are having these issues. You haven't had that issue yet at Arkansas. How happy does that make you? And just what do you think's been the key to that?
Tell you what, I don't know what's been the key, but I'm ecstatic about how we've handled COVID. Now, Hunter's he got more specifics about that, but it's something that you sure would like to happen, but obviously it's not happening over every place in the world, or in America, or in football. But we've done a nice job, and I'll leave it at that. And I'm very, very proud of our staff, our building, the people in our building. I mean, it's not just the football team; it's the secretaries, the strength staff, the medical staff. I mean, a lot of people here, and they're all being really, really good about the mask and handling this virus.
Thanks. Yeah, if you got time, come back around.
Okay.
Otis. Coach Piven.
Yes, sir.
Status is Jaqueline McGee.
Sir?
But Jaqueline McGee, you signed him in February, but
yeah,
in the roster.
Mm-hmm. Jaqueline is not on our team, and I don't believe that he'll be on our football team.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Hutch?
Yeah, Coach, I was curious, now that you've had a few walkthrough practices and everything, have y'all settled in on a base defense, like whether it's going to be a 3 or 4-man front or anything like that?
No.
Do you have a timeline for when y'all would like to have a base defense, or does it take actually having practices in camp and stuff?
I don't know if we know what we are for sure yet. I mean, again, do you have 3 outstanding players and you're running a three-man front, or do you have 4? Do you want to get it? Do you have a big enough size to do that? Do you have the quickness? Right now, we are practicing multiple defenses because I think that's, in all honesty, Andrew, I think that's what we're going to run. I think we're going to be a multiple defense, and I think what you're going to end up doing is going, okay, 42% of the time they run this front, 35% of the time they run that front. To be honest, if you look back in Barry Odom's history, it's been that way ever since he was a defensive coordinator. So if I knew exactly what we're doing, and I've got an idea, but percentage-wise, it would probably end up being pretty heavy in at least 2 different fronts, possibly 3.
And then also, you talked about finding your best 5 on the offensive line. At what point of camp would you like to maybe settle in on that 5 and not have guys switching around and stuff?
Well, with your first 5, you'd probably like to do that no later than 2.5 weeks before your first game. The other guys, 6, 7, 8, they'll always swing. I mean, they'll be, until you can get 10 good offensive linemen, you'll have your 3rd tackle, and you'll have your 3rd guard, and you'll have your 2nd center guard combination, all those things. So I'd like to settle in maybe 2.5 weeks before the first game with exactly what we're going to do. And of course, the injuries disrupt all that. So therefore, you have to have your third best tackle that can play both sides, etc. So I hope I answered your question.
Yep. Thanks, Coach.
Carlos.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you. Looking what's happening around the country in other sports, not allowing fans or spectators, how much of an advantage Arkansas is going to have, especially when playing away and not having the opponent that you face in 40, 60,000 fans cheering for them? How much an advantage will be for your team not having fans in the stand when you play away?
Well, first of all, I do not know what the fan status is here, away, or not. But certainly, if the fans aren't able to go to the game and you're not dealing with crowd noise, it certainly would be more advantageous for the visiting football team than what it would if there was. But obviously, I'm hoping that COVID, that we get a fix to this and like everybody else is, and we can have a lot of people in the stands. But I do not know that answer at all, and obviously safety would be the main thing. But you're right. There's less fans in the stadium on the road. Your communication should be better.
And last, I don't know if you have been able to see any Latino kickers in the state that might got your attention. Obviously, I popped this question whenever you were presented, but we haven't had a Latino kicker since Alex Tejada. Can you comment on that?
I really can't talk about recruits, but if they can kick, we're going to recruit them. I promise you that. And I'm not talking about they Latinos. I'm talking about they whoever's. I mean, whoever can kick, we're going to take them. And certainly.
Thank you, Coach. I will send them your way.
Come on. Help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aiden.
Hey, Coach, how are you? Good to see you. I know last season, obviously, Georgie coached a couple of first-rounders, and now there's been a few, not a ton, but a few maybe first-round draft prospects that have decided to sit out this season. Have you had any guys talk to you about, Coach, is it a good idea if I sit out this year, or is everyone 100% on board with playing this season?
As of right now, today, I haven't had anybody express any concern about them not any interest in not playing this season.
Good deal. My last one for you, just we all know the grind of fall camp and just how it goes, and with practice moving back up, just how excited are you just to get out there, be on the field, coach them, be there with them, and have a little bit of sense of normalcy when you guys get on the field?
Yeah, it's going to be unbelievable. You may or may not understand, but when you work a 12 to 14-hour day and you're doing it again, and you're sweaty, and you're with a group of guys all towards the same vision that you have, and the players, and you see them getting better, and you go in the locker room with your coach's locker room and the camaraderie you have in there, we've missed that. And I'm looking forward to it. And yes, I'm looking forward to a 14-hour day, and it is what it is. It's what we do. We've done it. I've done it for a long time, and I miss it, and so do our coaches. And yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Coach, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Gary Wood.
Hi, Coach Pittman. Could you tell us a little bit about the development of the quarterback so far? And secondly, could you give us a couple of guys who've maybe stood out or maybe even surprised you by their play?
Well, we haven't been able to, anything full speed, we're not allowed to there. So it's not positive how they're throwing the football, but how they're running the offense. All of them have done a really good job. I've been really pleased with how KJ Jefferson's picked up the offense and sees where he's supposed to go with the ball and those things of that nature. And of course, we're really happy that Felipe Franks is here. He's doing a really good job. But you look at Malik and John and so I think we're doing pretty good up there. And Jack Lindsay, they're all doing good. But Kendall Brow's offense is not that hard to learn. It's just fast, and so you have to know the ins and outs of everything because he's going to snap the football, and you need to understand where you're supposed to go pretty fast.
And secondly, is there anybody that's maybe stood out or even surprised you? Maybe a couple on offense, a couple on defense in the workouts.
Yeah, and guys, I hate to be vague and this and now that you guys realize we've been walkthroughs. So I mean, it's hard to I could name the guys that are doing really well mentally and all that, but it's really hard to figure out who can play good and who can't. We're in a walkthrough with no pads. So, but with that said, I've been pleased with how I like our running back group. I like them. And I think we can have some depth at linebacker. I love our secondary, the way they work. I think we're going to have some depth at O-line. And wide receiver-wise, I think we've got to get more depth there. I think everybody believes we're talented there. With the front few guys, we've got to develop some depth there. And then the D-line is probably the one that I've been the most happy with as far as what my mind might have thought how we're going to be versus how we're doing right now. That group, I think, is doing really well.
Nate? Nate, you're on mute. You're trying to talk.
There we go. How do you feel about this Tyson Morris as far as the film of you saw of him last year? Kind of where do you feel he could fit in this offense?
Well, he's playing wide receiver. I think he got speed. He's big. He's done a nice job for us. What we do, everybody, is in our walkthroughs, we split them. So there's basically whom you might on the depth chart have as a 1, and then the freshmen, and then the 2s and the 3s. Now the depth chart's been moved all over the place because how would you have a depth chart right now? But you have to have one to go to practice. So all these people, all the kids are getting reps, and Tyson has looked good in there, and I tell you, he's done a nice job in the walks and special team as well. So we're proud of him and think he's going to help us at wide.
Thanks.
All right. If you've got questions and we haven't gotten to you, hit me up in the chat and we'll get to you. But we'll get going back around here. Tom, you want to lead us off round 2?
That'd be great. Thanks. So, Sam, if the scheduling pattern holds up, Arkansas would have picked up Georgia next year, and if they follow that, you might end up playing Georgia. What would your thoughts be of if they wound up being on the schedule for you this year?
Well, depends on where we played them. You know, if we went to Georgia, it'd be nice to go back and see all the people there, and you know, they have an incredible fan base. If they came here, if they're allowed, they're going to travel in. I'm going to be telling the Arkansas fans to sell that thing out, because if not, it'll be loaded with Georgia fans, you know. But, you know, I have fond memories of Georgia. They were good to me, the entire state, and, of course, Kirby Smart. And And if we played them a year earlier than what I thought, then we'd look forward to playing them.
When the time comes for full contact, in recent years, it's kind of been, a little bit more compartmentalized, a little bit less. How do you feel about how much full contact you're going to need? And do you think more guys will have face shields and just stuff like that to prevent body,
Now we have them now. We have face in our walks now. What was the first part of your question?
Well, the first part of it was about how much live tackling, full contact stuff you're going to need. And
I think sometimes you have different people who have different beliefs about tackling. Anytime you don't scrimmage live, your main concern is going to be, because if you're an OD lineman and you're in shells, you're full speed. I mean, you know what I mean. But you're concerned about who can hang on to the football, and you're concerned about who can tackle. We have a defensive staff that believes they can teach tackling in their individual drills. So we have to decide how many times we're going to scrimmage. Our depth may not be quite what we'd like right now. So then you have to take that in consideration, how many times you're going to tackle live to the ground. But it is a part of football. Tackling and hitting and hanging on the ball is a part of football. So you have to be ready once you go out there. So there's a fine line in there. I think we're going to do a lot of individual tackling, a lot of individual tackling on our running backs. A lot of times what causes injury is a guy leg whips another guy, a guy falls on the ground, he falls on a knee, this, that, and the other. So we're going to try to get our tackling and ball handling as much as we can done without having to do it full team, full live. We will have at least one, probably two scrimmages. I don't know that we'll get to three. To be honest with you, I'm just concerned about our depth.
Gotcha. And the last thing I have, you mentioned the D-line being, something that impressed you. What was it you saw that made you think that way?
Well, I think Jonathan Marshall's done a really good job, and then if you look at him and Isaiah Nichols and Eric Gregory, Xavier Kelly, Coates, I mean, those guys, I'm just saying what my mind might have thought where they would be at this point. I don't think that about them. I think that they're big. They're guys that understand they can move for their size, and I just feel like they can be a good group.
Okay, appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Kyle Beckelbaum.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask a little bit more about Felipe. I just, someone coming off that kind of injury, transfers to make the most of one season. How is he approaching things right now? I would imagine he's pretty excited. The plan is to have a season.
He's approaching it like a guy that's been an SEC starter for 2+ years. I mean, he's a grown man. He's mature. He's approaching it like he's been there before. And I think that's very important for us, especially because we didn't have spring ball, but we have a guy on our football team that's played a lot of football at quarterback and won a New Year's Day Bowl as the starting quarterback. We got a veteran guy, and I think that's important. I did not just say that he's won the starting job. How can you do that in walkthrough? But I did say that we're awful glad he's on our football team.
When we last talked to Hunter Yurachek, I think he mentioned there was one player, one of your guys currently in quarantine. Is there any update you can give? Or, are all guys green lighted as far as practicing in about a week?
No, Hunter will have to address that, but like I said before, we're in a good spot.
All right, thanks.
Dudley.
Hey, Coach, appreciate you doing this. Good to see you.
Hey, Dudley.
Obviously, it's been a different recruiting landscape for you with this COVID, but you've had a lot of success over the summer. Can you just talk about the success y'all had as a staff, and also the state seems to have a lot of young talent. Just talk about maybe what you've seen in that regard from maybe when you were here last time.
Well, again, I mean, it's hard. Recruiting's hard if you can have them on campus and call them all the time. It's hard regardless of what, because of who you're competing against. But we're pleased with where we are right now in recruiting, and we're well aware that our state is very talented, and we're trying to get our kids to stay home and play for the Razorbacks.
Appreciate it.
Matt Jones.
I don't even see Matt on there.
Matt, you're on mute.
Where is he? I'm sure it's still on mute.
Matt, we'll come back. Bob.
Hey, yeah, thanks. I think I'm unmuted there. Sam, you mentioned, I remember when you moved Blaine to tight end, you mentioned how unselfish he was and just wanted to do whatever he could for the team. And I guess he never actually played there, like you said, but now that he's back at defensive end, how do you react when you guys said we want to put you back there? And kind of what do you anticipate from him at that position?
Well, I think he's going to be a really good player. And I talked him into wearing number 96 whenever he moved over there, because I wore 96. Nobody knows it because I wasn't any good or anything, but my college number was 96. So I told him he had big shoes to fill if he wore 96, so he took it. And so we were just trying to make it kind of loose a little bit, because we wanted him to go back over to defense. And to be honest with you, that's where he wanted to be, but he was so unselfish he went to tight end. So we put 96 on him, moved him back over defense, and he's fine. He's doing really good.
You mentioned Coates, has been among the defensive linemen that's impressed you. I know he had a lot of sacks at JUCO, and I know it's his walkthroughs, but how has he looked? What are you anticipating from him?
I love him. I mean, he's done really well. You run out there at different times, and you have Marshall and Nichols and Kelly and Coates. Them guys are big guys, I mean, they can hold up against the size of the SEC offensive linemen, and they can move. So I've been really pleased with Coates, and he's working awful hard. Did well today in the team run this morning.
How's Dorian Gerald doing? He obviously had a very serious injury last year, but I see him tweeting, so I guess he's doing okay. What's
no? And to be honest with you, in these meetings, there's so many guys to talk about, and I miss Dorian, and I shouldn't have. He's really looks good. He's got a tremendous foot speed, and he's another guy that should be a leader on our football team. Very vocal guy, and he's been working his tail off. So I've been really pleased with him, of course, and I will be when we put pads on. But we haven't yet. But I promise I will be. He's too talented for us not to be.
Okay, thanks, Sam. I'll see what I can do about getting Pitt State to retire 96.
That won't happen. Nobody wants to wear it, but
Trey Biddy.
Hey, Coach. If I remember, you had actually quite a bit of sacks on number 96. You sell yourself too short. Hey, I was wondering about Felipe's status in terms of his eligibility moving forward, because if I understand the new revised 6-year rule, wouldn't he qualify for a potential 6-year?
Possibly. I don't think. I think if he has a good year, which we anticipate him doing, that he'll be gone. But I'm glad you mentioned that. I had to look into that. But in all honesty, I'm planning on him, if he wins a starting job, to have such a good year that we can't keep him. That's my plans.
That sounds nice. And with Toll, was that decision made with Jaqueline not making it to campus? And
100%.
Sorry?
100%.
100%.
100%. When Jaqueline decided that he didn't want to play football anymore, then we moved Blaine Toll that day.
You probably hate this question, but because it's about asking for specific players, but redshirt freshmen that didn't play a lot last year, just based on what you've seen from maybe guys assuming the leadership roles like you were talking about earlier, and guys who did really strong in the weights and all that stuff, is there anybody that you could see emerging that didn't really contribute last year?
That redshirted, Gatlin, done well. I've been impressed with Luke Jones. I don't know if he redshirted. I think he was more of a transfer. Yeah, he redshirted. He transferred. Who else up there would have redshirted last year? I tell you who's been doing good is Carter.
Corey?
Yeah, I mean, he's done well. Who else am I missing? Kyle? Catalan. Yeah, he's doing well. It's a hard question for me because I can't really remember who redshirted last year. But the young guys, those will be some of them. That off the Marcus Miller, he's back, ready to go. He's moving well. So those would be the guys I'd guess, Trey, right off the top of my head.
And lastly, Hunter mentioned the other day that he thinks that the recruiting dead period could be extended out to December 31st. What are your thoughts on that? You think a decision should be made for 4 months and ahead, and what do you think the ramifications would be as far as signing periods?
I think the reason people want camps, and I'm not saying in COVID times, I'm not saying that, I'm saying the reason that you want camps in the summer on a regular basis is so you can evaluate prospects. And there's a difference in a highlight tape and actually what he is. Sometimes he's better than what his tape looked like. Sometimes he's not. Sometimes he's about what you thought. So I do think there's going to be more than ever surprises that you thought that you got this particular athlete and you were surprised one way or the other because you didn't actually get to see them in the specific skill set that you wanted. And I think that's across the board with everybody. And you might go back to sophomore when they were at camp, you look at speed, how do you really know how fast they are unless you have a verified time, and all that kind of stuff you can get done on your own campus. We're not able to do that. But the other thing certainly is if they keep early signing date and there's no official visits, kind of hard for a kid to make a decision, to me. So we had to really level them up. We had to get to know them because right now, if it's not about anything other than the personal relationship with the people that's recruiting them, then we have to be better than anybody else at it.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, Matt Jones, we're going to try again. Matt, you there? All right, Matt's having trouble. Tom, do you have any more?
I'll finish with this one. What have you thought of Hunter's leadership during all this? It's a period of time like we've never gone through before, and I'm sure it's tough on ADs.
I'd say he's probably met more over the computer than he ever would have thought in his life. I'm not speaking for him, but I know this, that when I go into an SEC head coaches meeting, what they're telling me, for the most part, I already know. He's a great communicator. He's a great speaker. We had him over and talked to our team. early part of this week or latter part of last week. And he's been very good to me, very good to our coaching staff. And I couldn't imagine having to be the first-time head coach and going through this with anybody else but him, because I think he's done unbelievably a great job.
You've gotten a lot of commitments lately from Oklahoma. Any particular thing that has gone into that has helped spur that?
Well, it is one of our regional states, and so right now, if you were sitting there and you couldn't go out and visit, your parents are probably going to be a little more comfortable if you commit to a school that they can drive to, and the convenience of being able to get back and forth from games. But I'm from Oklahoma, and I wasn't one of those guys that Arkansas offered a scholarship to, by the way. I wanted them to, but they didn't. But I still am from Oklahoma, and it's just been kind of ironic that I don't know what I can say about recruiting. It's just specific kids, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of been ironic that we're doing pretty good in the state of Oklahoma, because Missouri borders us, Louisiana borders us, all that. But John Cooper's from Oklahoma. I'm from Oklahoma. Barry Odom's from Oklahoma. So we have some ties there that's helped us.
I don't know if things have gotten to this point, but let's just say during the season there's an outbreak and a coach or two has it. Are there plans in place where your graduate assistants or someone can come up and be the guy that week on the field and stuff?
Yeah, you have to have that. It's just like on offense, depending on if Kendall's going to be on the field or up in the box. If he's on the field, you better have somebody else that knows the offense as well as he does and able to signal it. Our quarterbacks are certainly responsible for that as well. But what the NCAA has done, if somebody has the virus, well, then somebody else can step in, and it's kind of like an emergency situation and all that. But you have Barry Odom. If something happened to me, well, you have Barry that would step into that role, and that's why we're two-spotting. That's why everybody on our team's getting the same amount of reps in these walkthroughs, because if COVID happens on our football team, the next guy has to be available, and he has to know what he's doing.
All right.
With the staff, the players, everybody.
That wraps me up. Kyle, Sam, thank y'all.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, that's going to wrap us up. Appreciate everybody. Good to see a few faces. We're getting closer to some sort of football, or at least looking like football. So appreciate everybody. If you need anything, please let me know, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Sam.
We just have to welcome in. It's our 30-minute edition as we let you hear a stream of our Zoom teleconference with head football coach Sam Pittman of the University of Arkansas. And we'll be getting together with a couple of Hawkeye recruits here momentarily as we'll be joined at the 1:30 hour by 2023 offensive tackle TJ Shanahan. He's recently been named the #1 offensive tackle in the 2023 class. He's out of Orlando, Florida. Temple Creek High School. He's about to join us at 1:30. And then following Big TJ, his buddy, Peyton P.K. Kirkland. He's out of Orlando, Dr. Phillips High School, and he's also a 2023 offensive lineman that is offered by the University of Arkansas. We'll talk to those two guys and just see where things sit. They got several years of high school football, but, I mean, these kids are highly, highly recruited. And coming in, Demetrius, we just heard audio from head football coach Sam Pittman regarding the upcoming season. Talked about a lot of different topics. What were some of the things that stood out to you about this recent talk with Coach?
I think it's kind of still in the air if we're going to have the season. I hate to say that, but I still kind of feel like there's this, I guess you could say, ideal in the back of everybody's head that this thing still may not playing out the way we want to. But I do see that everybody's still putting in the work as the season is going to be regular and everything's going to happen. And I do like the optimism that I see behind Coach Sam Pittman and the results that he's got so far due to camp and some of the things that he stated about the players that have been involved in the camp and the leadership throughout this camp so far.
I like when you listen to Coach Pittman. I think that was one of the things that was missing big time from Coach Morris. When the sense of direction with your program, be a part of our live stream. Coach had the proper answer, and he had him he talked about it in detail, Demetrius. And when you have a coach that's is so attention to detail like Coach Sam Pittman and that staff, those your players are going to follow and have more of comfortability, I should say, with the schemes on both the offensive and defensive sides. I'm really excited to see how this offense progresses under offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach Kendall Briles. What about you, especially with Felipe Franks? Now, he didn't say, Demetrius, Felipe was a starter. He did say that they were excited that Felipe was on the team and that he was an experienced SEC quarterback.
Absolutely. I think Coach Sam Pittman did an excellent job not giving away too much because he did comment on both quarterbacks, Felipe Franks and KJ Jefferson, and actually spoke very highly of KJ as far as him adapting to the new offense and the way he's really picking it up and, really flourishing in it. He didn't really say too much about Felipe, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think what it is he's letting a senior be a senior because if you listen to the end of the Zoom call, that was the kind of final wrap up was us talking about Felipe and him possibly having a 6th year. And the first thing Sam Pittman said, well, with the type of year that I personally expect him to have and the expectations that I'm going to put on him personally, I think Felipe is going to be here 1 year and then he's going to go to the league.
And I think that's the way that all head football coaches of the great programs they approach when they recruit kids or kids come into the program. Is it's a 3-year system. You want your kids to be able to play 3 great years of collegiate football and have the opportunity to move on to the next level, which is the highest level, and that's being the NFL. I mean, you look at, Demetrius, when we look at programs like Clemson and Alabama's and Georgia, Oklahoma, that's a common That's a common thing with those great programs. Is they're three and those kids move on and they just keep bringing in those 3-year guys, and as a result, they're constantly in the conversations for those playoff spots.
Yeah, I think when you get to those, like you said, when you get to those great programs, that's what you want to see. You want to see your quarterback kind of churning out because that means you have a championship caliber team. Anytime you have that guy that is going to have the ball in his hands, 50 to 60% of the game, you know what your winning chance or how you're going to fare in that game.
Right.
And I think once Kendall Briles and also Sam Pittman get the offensive unit pieces that they need, because he spoke very highly of the offensive line and how they were coming up. But the one key thing that I continue to hear, and I've always heard here at Arkansas, is it's not that they don't get players, but it's the depth of quality players that they do get in one position.
Great
and
point.
I think that's the one thing you have to look at is what's the depth, especially with this rigorous SEC schedule. You're going to have at least a 3 deep roster.
Absolutely.
And you're going to have 3 deep that doesn't fall off once you get to that third depth person. So to me, again, I think the one thing that Sam Pittman really keeps reiterating is depth, getting that depth to where he's come and doing different type of looks with defensive fronts and things of that nature.
When they say it means more, it does mean more. And Demetrius, you hit it out of the park with the depth. I mean, that's the biggest difference, I believe, that the SEC possesses over all other conferences, at the depth of this league at each position. I mean, it's always next man up in these programs, and I feel like that's why you get that 10-game all-conference season. You'll be so much excited, and I think that's why depth and health are going to be the major issues. We said it a couple days ago, and we'll stick with it. The strength and conditioning coaches in all of college football will earn their paychecks. Each and every smacking dollar this season, and Jamel Walker, the new Arkansas strength conditioning coach, he is to be commended because the weight gains and the health of this football team heading in about a week out from fall camp. I don't think I've seen it in this good a shape, Demetrius, in quite some time, with a lot of these guys that you need, like the KJ Jefferson, who had shoulder surgery, Ty Clary. Also had surgery in the offseason. These guys are all coming back and really eager to get this thing started. And so are we, as we're about to get the Hog guys. We got 2 big fellas, and they're 2023 offensive linemen. Goes to show you, Sam Pittman arrives, and we start talking offensive line on a daily basis. Next up is T.J. Shannon, the 2023 number 1 rated offensive tackle out of Orlando, Timber Creek High School. He's about to take the stage. Let's on the hill with Pat Jenkins. And it's our Thursday edition of the Hall Guys on KDSJ 479. Back in a bit. Back, it's our Thursday edition here on OTH on KDSJ 479, and it's the Hall Guy segment. We've been doing this for several months as Coach Sam Pittman and his staff, both on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. They're trying to make a brand with the University of Arkansas, and Coach Brad Davis is really trying to make a brand and reestablish the offensive line dominance that once was under Coach Pittman. And we're going to make our way to the new offer. The young man is rated the top offensive tackle in the 2023 class. He's out of Orlando, Florida, Timber Creek High School, the big man, T.J. Shanahan. T.J., welcome to OTH. T.J., you and I have had several conversations over the last few weeks. I reached out to you and we spoke. At that time, Arkansas hadn't extended the offer. They came out yesterday as you notified me that they had made that offer. Talk about, what that conversation was like, and what is your interest level going forward when Arkansas is concerned?
Well, I really like Arkansas, but just talking to Coach Brad Davis, getting to know him, he's a really good guy. I really like the morals that he was telling me, just kind of run down the basics of how he kind of runs things there as an offensive lineman. And he also told me a little bit about his background with, him playing at Oklahoma, and also Coach Pittman coaching him there. And he just said to me straight up, like, if you're an offensive lineman, I mean, there's no better coach to coach. And I've really been doing some research and stuff, and I really find that true. Coach Pittman's, he's really put 27 guys in the NFL. 7 first rounders offensive line. So it's not really like something you hear every day, and that really raised my interest level in the University of Arkansas.
With Coach Pittman being the head football coach here at Arkansas and being a former offensive line coach, from an offensive lineman standpoint, how much more of a comfortable factor is that to know that your head coach, was a developer at a spot and really places a high emphasis on the offensive line play, as it's so important in the SEC?
Yeah, well, that means a lot. I say, like, nowadays, linemen really don't get the recognition, they should, because, without an offensive line, you really can't win a game. But yeah, that really means a lot that he really, takes care of his offensive linemen and really puts consideration to them as developing them, like, as far as just being a football player, being an athlete. So that really is far in my book, and, it means a lot, and definitely I'm looking forward to that, as far as picking a school to go to for college. So
being rated the top offensive tackle in the 2023 class heading into your sophomore year, quite the options, TJ. Let's just be honest with it. Nate, could you give me a list of a few schools outside of Arkansas that show you major love to this point?
Well, I'd say University of Florida. They've really been showing me some love, just because I do live in Florida and stuff. And then, Ohio State too. Growing up, I really liked Ohio State. Just watching them whenever Urban Meyer was there. And then, like, also a few other schools like, USC, Oklahoma, Arizona State. And just like some of those schools are really just schools I'd like to focus on. Right. And FSU and just all great programs. So definitely looking forward to taking some visits and, getting to know all these coaches and stuff. So.
When you sat down with your offensive staff there at Timber Creek High, and you watched that ninth grade tape, TJ, what was it that you felt good about your freshman season, and what is it that you've been here in the off season working on so that you can have an even more improved sophomore campaign?
I've just really been working on staying athletic. A lot of these offensive linemen, they get to be too big, and they can't really move and stuff. So I really work on like a lot of agility things, plyometric workouts and stuff. So I have to stay light on my feet, and then also getting stronger. Doing push-ups, lifting weights, all that good stuff, and then just doing lineman stuff. So like my technique is as sharp as it comes.
Who are some of the guys, TJ, that you'd like to watch, either collegiately or at the NFL level, and kind of take parts of what they do and put them into what you do when it's time to get on that offensive line?
Well, I always like watching Larry Allen just because I really compare myself to him because he's really just a tenacious football player. He plays aggressive, and I really do think I do too. And then as of right now, I like David Bakhtiari from the Green Bay Packers. I just like how he's really explosive and he's really quick. And he's probably one of the guys I really mentor and look up to probably in the NFL. So.
Talking with TJ Shannon of Orlando, Florida, Timber Creek High School. He's the newest 2023 offensive tackle offer for Coach Brad Davis, Sam Pittman, and that entire offensive staff there at the University of Arkansas. But TJ, when I come to Timber Creek High School there in Orlando, Florida, big fella, and I got my popcorn and my Sprite 20-ounce, balls kicked off. I'm in the highest place I can go in that stadium for 4 quarters. What type of football player will I witness in number 74, Big TJ Shanahan?
You're just going to witness just a good football player. I'm really an asset to our team. I really just play to the best of my ability. I just play to the best of my ability that God gave me, so I really like to showcase my talents. But I really say I'm just a really nasty football player, As soon as that kickoff happens, from that to the last whistle, I'm just really dirty. I'm always finishing blocks. I'm always looking like the nastiest player. So, that's really what I'd say stands out in my game. Just I really just know how to play. Just being offensive lineman, being nasty,
Right.
tenacious. Just all that good stuff. So
Every athlete, TJ, has something that they either like to eat or that they like to do prior to a football, an athletic event. What's the one thing you like to do before football games on the weekends?
I like to acknowledge my family. That really means a lot because if they weren't there, supporting me along the way, none of this would really have been happening. Like my dad, my mom, my sisters, and my older brothers. So I really like to acknowledge them before the game, and then one thing I like to eat. I told you yesterday, I like to eat them Skittles and Starburst. like to get them going, get my sugar rush going and stuff before the game. So.
Hey, my producer is sitting here with a big old pack of Starburst right now on the table. I'm just looking at him, TJ. I want one really bad, but I want everybody to know we're talking with 2023 offensive tackle. He's rated the top offensive tackle in the 2023 class. It's TJ Shanahan. He's out of Orlando, Florida. Timber Creek High School. We're riding around the city. TJ, me and you with the OG. First 5 songs on the playlist, big fella. Give them to me, 74.
I'd probably say, that song "Rags to Riches" by Rod Wave. I like that song, and then "Counting Step" by Rod Wave too.
Okay.
And then I'd say "Love Sosa" by Chief Keef.
With it.
I like that. That song really gets me going. And then also "I Don't Like" by Chief Keef.
Okay.
Just them songs they like to get me going. And then also one song is that when I was young and stuff, so that's just kind of like turn up, Definitely 2 different types of music, but it is what it is.
Hey, I'm riding with you in Orlando anytime if we turn like that. But last question, TJ, and I want you to finish this statement for me if you would. When football is done with for TJ Shanahan of Orlando, Florida, Timber Creek and in the NFL, but then the day finally comes, the ball goes flat, shoes, shoulder pads, helmet, all got to be put in the locker room. What is life going to be like after football for TJ Shanahan of Timber Creek High School in Orlando, Florida?
After the life of football, I really just want to, cherish moments with my family, because that's really the most important thing to me. And, make sure I get my degree, because I know football isn't forever. One injury can really take you out of the game, no matter how good or talented you are. So make sure education is really on top of my list. And then, just enjoying life with my loved ones and, all the relationships I'll make down the road. So that's definitely probably the biggest thing for me.
Before I let you go, quick question. Answer this for me. Pitcher or catcher? Which one?
What was that, Coach?
Pitcher or catcher, TJ? Which one are you?
I definitely say I'm a pitcher, Isaiah.
All right, my man. Well, hey, this can't be the last time. Call anytime. Our show is your show. Our line is your line. TJ, thanks for taking time. Congratulations on the offer. And, hey, I look forward to a long journey with you here on OTH, my man.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the time. And, you stay blessed.
All right, my man.
All right, thank you.
Hey, and your guy's coming on. He's following you. Big Peyton's up next. You got anything? You want me to tell him anything?
Yeah, definitely tune in and watch it.
All right. Take care.
All right, you too. All right.
That was TJ Shanahan, the 2023 offensive tackle prospect out of Orlando, Florida, Timber Creek High School. Big time prospect, Demetrius. I'm talking about when he finishes blocks, he finishes blocks.
Yeah, I just think it's another guy that Sam Pittman can plug right in and continue that hog to the NFL. We're gonna have to come up with a name for that because here pretty soon we're gonna have a lot of hogs going to the NFL. So we gotta come up with a catchy little name.
Yeah, we do.
To get for those trench hogs that do go to the league. But again, I just think it's another example of the type of players that Sam Pittman wants to recruit.
Well, we stand in the same city. We like Orlando so much, and we like that 2023 class of linemen so much that we're gonna go right. Maybe a little bit 20 minutes away from TJ's high school, and we're going to head over to Dr. Phillips High School, where we're about to talk to Peyton P.K. Kirkland. He's the big one up next. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it. Welcome back. It's our Thursday edition here of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio on KDSJ 479, and we're going to continue on with our Hawkeye segment because we tell you, Coach Pittman and that staff don't stop, and neither do we here on OTA. So we're going to make our way just about 20 minutes away from where we were just previously at there at Timber Creek and go over to Dr. Phillips High School and stay in Orlando, Florida, and we're going to bring on 2023 offensive lineman. He's a tackle, a guard, a center, just a flat-out football player. Peyton PK Kirkland. PK.
Yes, sir.
Welcome on.
What's going on?
Nothing much, big fella. Let's get off into the recruiting process. I just had on a big-time close friend of yours, DJ Shanahan. Stays about 20 minutes away from here in high school. Talk about your relationship with Arkansas. I know you played a major part. TJ can pick it up to Arkansas through our conversation. But talk about, your relationship with Arkansas, and in particular, Coach Brad Davis.
I feel like my relationship with them is pretty smooth. It's really just a love relationship. Everything's real. It's none of that sugarcoat and the sweet part that comes with the recruiting game. I feel like with Coach Smith, it's also good as well. I could talk to him. I could call him about anything, really, at any time, and he'll pick up the phone.
When you look at Arkansas, this is a program, Peyton, that hadn't had a lot of success over the last 3 years. What is it about this program that has you so excited to where you may want to come in, or are you looking for a situation to start, the uprise of a program, or you still hadn't decided on that?
Well, I'm still undecided on that, but Arkansas is a great place. I feel like Coach Pittman and Coach Brad Davis have great history as offensive line coaches. They've been in the game for a minute, and I feel like Coach Pittman's history at Georgia is really a good look on the program as of right now.
When you looked at Georgia and you sat down this past April and was able to take part in watching the NFL draft, how impressive was that to know the only two first rounders off of what I consider was an elite Georgia football team were Coach Pittman guys, and now to have Pittman as the head coach, making contact with you, Peyton, to possibly come and play on the offensive line for him. How impressive and how big is that for you?
I feel like it's a great opportunity. It's very big for me in my opportunities right now. So far, I feel like Coach Pittman has one of the greatest offensive line groups to be drafted, especially in this past draft in April.
Now, who are some of the other schools, Big PK, that are showing you a lot of the social media love and recruiting you, real heavy so early in the process outside of Arkansas?
Well, I feel like it's pretty much the majority of the schools that recruit me are showing a lot of love right now, such as Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Arizona State. There's a lot of schools that are showing love right now, especially North Carolina A&T as well. Shout out to the A&T.
You sat down and watched that freshman tape. What did you like, and what are you working on heading into your sophomore year, PK, that you want to improve on and have even a better sophomore season?
Well, it was playing smart and being more explosive off of the line. Because during the season, it was pretty new to me, and I feel like I had a pretty good season. I could have recognized defenses a lot better, but I did a good job for my freshman season, I feel like.
Now,
I feel like...
Go ahead. Go ahead, PK.
Oh, well, I've also been working on coming off the line a lot more explosive, working on getting lower on certain plays, working on my pulling skills as well.
Now, I noticed when we talked, you said you originally are from Chicago, Illinois, and moved down to the Florida area. talk about the culture change that you had to adapt to, PK, when you made that move, and how has that gone to this point?
Well, as of right now, I felt like I was a lot younger in Chicago, and I've really my teenage years. I've really progressed in Florida. It's not that much of it's a big difference, but it's not that much of a difference due to my age.
Right. Now, who are some of the NFL or collegiate offensive linemen that you like to pay attention to, PK?
Well, currently, I like to pay attention to I've watched Jonathan Ogden's old tapes. Currently, I like watching Mitchell Schwartz and Saron Armstead.
Now 6'7".
And in college, I'm looking forward to seeing how Marcus Zoomerville does at LSU.
I like that. PK, 6'7", 315 pounds, sophomore. Now you have some basketball background in you as well. Talk about how that helps translate from the basketball court with the footwork on the football field.
Well, that really makes me an athlete. I feel like my feet are really good on the football field. It's sometimes my mom says it looks like I'm dancing out there because my footwork is good.
Now, when I come there to Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando, Florida, PK, and I got popcorn and I got a 20-ounce Coca-Cola, balls kicked off, big fella. What type of football player will I witness for 4 quarters in Peyton PK Kirkland?
I'd say you're gonna have you're gonna watch a really exciting game. Just look at. I'm a real passionate player. I'll show emotions within the way I play. You'll see a lot of aggression come out on the sidelines, on the field. You'll see me trying to coach my teammates as well.
Peyton, any particular thing you like to eat or anything you do superstitious-wise before your games on Friday night that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I like chicken Alfredo, and I say my favorite candy is Lifesavers.
See, I'm a Reese's peanut butter type of guy. That's my deal.
I like payday bars too.
One of these days you're gonna have a big payday coming up. But I tell you what, we're riding around the city, big fella, me and you. First 5 songs on the playlist, PK.
My first 5 songs is coming on the playlist. Okay, Through the Wire by Rod Wave. Can't Sleep by Rod Wave. Tomorrow by Rod Wave.
Okay.
For Your Eyes Only by J. Cole. And On by Erykah Badu.
I'm with that. See, I'm an Erykah Badu fan. So, see, I want everybody to know we're talking with Peyton PK Kirkland. He's a 2023 offensive line prospect and a major target for the University of Arkansas, Brad Davis, Sam Pittman, and the entire Arkansas staff out of Orlando, Florida. Dr. Phillips High School. But when football is done with for PK Kirkland, went on, played Power 5 football, realized the dream, and played in the NFL. And then the day comes where the ball goes flat. Helmet, shoes, shoulder pads, and pants all put up in the locker, PK. What is life going to be like after football for Peyton PK Kirkland of Orlando, Florida, Dr. Phillips High School?
Life after football is going to be amazing. I'd say I see myself being an entrepreneur. I see myself owning multi-billion-dollar industries and investing in other companies.
Well, Peyton, hey, I love having you on. Hey, your buddy was just on, like I said, TJ, right before you. He told me to tell you hi. And what I'm going to do is, during the season, make sure that we get some PK Kirkland updates throughout the season. You down with that?
Yes, sir.
Hey, my man.
But I want to make a shout out. Sir.
Yeah, go on and make that shout out.
I want to make a shout out to Coach Corliss Williamson, former Razorback.
So what you know about Corliss Williams?
Well, I played basketball with his sons, and he was my AAU coach for about a year and a half.
Sweet. Well, I'll definitely pass that on, and we got to make sure Corliss gets this. I'm going to send this to you, and then we'll make sure that Coach Williamson gets this as well. All right, but see, if he's your coach, I can't tamper. I was going to say Arkansas might have it in, but I'm not going to tamper with you today, young fella. I can't do that, all right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Peyton, thanks for taking time out, PK, and you have a great day, and hey, good luck on a exceptional sophomore year, and congratulations on that Arkansas offer.
Thank you.
All right. That was Peyton PK Kirkland. No relation. I don't know if he's kin to Denver Kirkland or whatnot, but he said he had a conversation with Denver after he got the offer from Arkansas. And Denver spoke real highly of the university and Coach Sam Pittman.
Yeah, that's another guy that really, I think Denver Kirkland can come out and say he got him to the NFL. He was always a highly touted recruit coming out of high school. I think if you look at what he did in the NFL, it had a lot to do with the teachings of Sam Pittman.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show they continue to recruit at a high level. Their recruiting outlook, Demetrius. I mean, they're recruiting 21, 22, 20, 23 kids. I mean, and that's the way you have to be in the SEC. And to be a great college football program, you have to stay 2 and 3 years out as far as recruiting goes. And Arkansas and that staff under Sam Pittman, they're no different. I mean, they're doing their due diligence and recruiting and trying to get out early with building relationships with kids in that 2023 and even in the 2024 class. It's a great job for what they've been able to do during this COVID pandemic with not being able to get kids on camp. Like Coach Pittman said during our Zoom conference, the evaluation period is really, really important for college coaches and builders of relationships. But that's going to do it for us. We hope that you enjoyed our live stream of the Sam Pittman Zoom conference that we in the Northwest Arkansas media and state media were able to have with Coach Pittman. And also, our two guests. We want to give a shout out to TJ Shanahan, 2023 offensive tackle, rated tops in the country. He's out of Orlando, Florida. Timber Creek High School for coming on and sharing his thoughts about Arkansas and many, many more things pertaining his recruitment. And lastly, Peyton P.K. Kirkland. He's out of Orlando, Florida also, and he's a 2023 offensive line prospect, but he goes to Dr. Phillips High School, and he shared his thoughts about Coach Brad Davis, Sam Pittman, and Coach Jimmy Smith. Arkansas really starting to build relationships as the classes get younger and younger and younger. Just they're starting to make their way. I'm telling you, won't be too long, Demetrius. We'll be talking about the University of Arkansas with high expectations